Welcome. In front of me I have the brand new Samsung Galaxy S25, and I'll go over unboxing along with a quick look at the device and its specifications. So this year we get a new release, as every year, of yesterday's phone with tomorrow's prices. Let's get rid of that. And here is obviously the new Samsung with stacked on little camera rings to make it just stand out a little bit more than the previous model, because other than that it looks almost identical to the previous one. Now, yoink that off. I don't think I need to go into the box. I think we all know at this point Samsung will give you absolutely nothing for the price outside of just a cable and paperwork, so and obviously the phone. So I'm just gonna keep it at that. And I do want to kind of point out one thing. This kind of feels like an iPhone in hand, which I guess kind of adds to the fact that they did change the UI a bit to make it seem more like an iPhone. But the build, the way it's kind of like designed, it does kind of feel like an iPhone in hand for some reason. The rounded edges, it does feel more than previous one. There hasn't been much change from the previous model, but whatever they changed just kind of gets a little bit too close to other side, I would say. Anyway, so what do we get right here for a brisky $1,000? I think that's how much it costs. What the hell? You're already getting warm? You literally just turned on. Why are you literally warming up from booting up? So this is apparently going to be $799 US. Now I do want to actually give it like double check. S25 price. Let's see on Samsung. Bear with me while I'm just double checking if this info is correct. What phone are you even trying to sell me, Samsung? Why your site is so dog shit when it comes down to... Where's the model? Literally, where's the model? So I assume this is the 25. So yeah, the price looks to be with tax about $1,000, which is in Poland that it comes out to be 3,999 PLN, which it's basically 1-to-4 conversion. So it is about $1,000. Anyway, so with that out of the way, let's talk about the specifications. And here we are going to get basically, like I mentioned, yesterday's phone with tomorrow's price. $1,000. And let's start off with the display, as this one will be probably the one upgrade that might be actually visible. So the new display here is going to be more vibrant, just look better. It is going to be an LTPO dynamic AMOLED display with 120 Hz refresh rate, HDR10 plus certification, and a peak brightness of 2600 nits. It also boasts apparently 91.1% screen to body ratio with 416 pixels per inch, though GSM Arena isn't usually or isn't always correct with the percentages, and I don't have any kind of way to actually calculate it myself. But still, the bezels right here have been reduced, so we have more screen than previously, and obviously that's going to make the device look a little bit more modern. It is also being covered with a Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2, though from Jerry Rig Everything Video, it's apparently already a downgrade. So the previous one, as lineup, apparently had a different glass, a previous generation of this glass, which was harder than this one. So it would scratch at a higher level. As if you ever seen Jerry Rig, he does a pretty fantastic job in durability tests. So the previous ones apparently had a better durability in terms of scratch resistance than these ones. So anyway, that's that, and that's probably going to be the best part of this phone. Now we can move over to the ones that are disappointing, like the battery size. We're looking at a 4000 mAh battery. I do want to point out this is a smaller phone at 6.2 inches display with a 1080p resolution, and it is also relatively thin. So considering they're making a slim version of these devices, I'm not sure how much slimmer they can get. This is already kind of slim, more than it needs to be. I would prefer to have a bigger battery in here rather than a razor thin device. So 4000, and the reason this is only 4000, and I am saying only, we are in 2025 already, is because nowadays we have silicon-based batteries. This phone should have probably closer to 5000 mAh battery, considering its size. Hell, my phone, though a bit bigger, has a 6.3 thousand mAh battery, and that is because it's using the newer type. Samsung, with their premium price, decided to not give you the best thing out there, which would be, in terms of battery, the bigger, different type of battery. And I understand that they're probably too scared that their batteries are going to start exploding again. But for God's sakes, if you can't manage to get your battery to not explode in 2025, maybe you shouldn't be the biggest company on the market for some reason. And furthermore, when it comes down to battery, it gets even wilder, as not only is this 4000 milliamps only, it charges at a measly 25 effing watts through cable. Now it does support 15 watts wireless, but just as a perspective, this costed me about half the price. Comes with nearly the same specifications, and it supports 80 watts charging and comes with a charger in the box. So this is an absolute middle finger from Samsung to the users. And don't worry, the charging speed don't get any that much better between the generations. So the highest $1,300 device like this one only charges at 45 watts, which is comical. Anyway, let's move into the internals, and internal wise, I would say it's the same thing that you'd expect, which is brand new processor, a Snapdragon 8 Elite, the best one out there on the market. I'm not gonna take away from that. We have 12 gigabytes of RAM, and we have 128 gigabytes of storage at base entry, and goes up to 512 gigs of storage with the highest model. All of them being with just 12 all of them having 12 gigabytes of RAM and being UFS 4.0 storage type. There's also no expandable storage in here, so you can't pop in an SD card at the bottom. And yeah, that's basically everything that there is to it. Now, last thing would be the cameras, which just like basically every model of this device a year from year, and they try to improve it. So here we will have 50 megapixel f1.8 aperture, 24 millimeter wide lens, then 10 megapixel f2.4, 67 millimeter telephoto, and 12 megapixel f2.2 aperture, 13 millimeter 120 degree ultra wide lens. And with those cameras you can record videos up to 8K at 30 frames, and 4K gets you 60, along with 1080p gets you all of that, plus 240 frames per second slow motion, with 10-bit HDR, HDR10 Plus, and gyroscopic electronic image stabilization. Now at the front we have a hole punch camera, which houses a 12 megapixel f2.2 26 millimeter wide lens, and that does 4K 60 and 1080p, I would presume 60, but it's only listed at 30 on GSM Arena. So there we go. So that's what we get in the box with the brand new S25 for basically $1,000. It's honestly, you might as well go with the old one, as the primary focus of this device is more AI. And I want to also kind of give it a bit more objective kind of look here. So because this device caters towards or tries to sell itself as more AI, if you're not planning to use AI, there's really no reason for you to go for this device if you can get the old one, the S24, for much cheaper and just not have the bogus AI. In terms of the software, you'll basically get the update to this one anyway. And additionally, the AI that we have right here, it's at least going to be free for the entirety of 2025 year. But 2026, it's apparently going to be a subscription-based feature. Now, I presume not all of it, but still, when you're buying this device, we still don't actually have any kind of knowledge of what the pricing will be at the end of the year when your AI functionalities will be turned off on this device and you will need to start paying subscription, and which ones will be part of that like separation from subscription and the ones that actually can be done on your phone without it. So you get a lot of unknown right here for a phone that is being sold as AI, doing AI stuff. So it's very kind of scammy, I would say, that you're buying a phone that has feature set that you will lose, and then you will need to pay, but you don't even know how much you're going to be paying later on. Outside of that, this device will have, I believe, 7-year upgrade cycle, so it will get to basically whatever Android will be available to in 7 years, which is pretty good. But when you're paying $1,000 for a device at minimum, like this one, in all honesty, it starts to kind of lose its value, as you can buy 2 different phones throughout that time and still pay about the same price and also have better phone in next 3 years. So as an example, this is Nubia Z70 Ultra. It costed me roughly $600. I think that's how much it was. About that amount. It will have 3-year upgrade cycle. It comes also with the newest processors and all that stuff. It might not have the same kind of software optimizations as Samsung, but it still works fantastically from me using it for the past like month. And it costs me a little bit over half the price of this device. Now this is the cheapest one. It has 3-year life cycle, and after 3 years I can just pick up another one, the newest one with the newest processors and whatever the tech will be back at that time, meaning that I'm gonna get a better value for my device by having 2 different devices than I will have by overpaying for this one and having a 7-year life cycle. It's not as worth if you actually calculate that. And that falls even more apart when you consider that there are things like these ones for $1,300. At that point, you already are just completely overpaying for a device that I would agree doesn't really deliver that much value to you. So anyway, with that out of the way, hopefully you found this rant helpful. And if you did, don't forget to smash like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.